just on our way into Stonehenge Visitor Centre. I love this architecture, don't you? It just kind of floats. I should really be hiking out to Stonehenge, but it's so cold today. It's like -12. I'm not really dressed for it. I haven't got any gloves, I haven't got a hat, I haven't got a coat. I'm just wearing a thin jumper. So I might chicken out and just get on a bus. So I'm standing here with Stonehenge in the background. Isn't it fantastic? It's probably, I don't know, 5,000 years old, 6,000 years old, something like that. The only reason the rocks are still here is that they've been far too big for people to take away to get involved in other buildings that they perhaps wanted to build in the area. And the reason why we're here today with all this old stuff in the background is that over the years when I do interviews on the telly or the radio, the final question they always ask me, I'm not suggesting the media are predictable, but the truth is the final question they always ask me is, they say, so Mr. Kane, the founder of Marriage Week, you must have the perfect marriage then. And I say, well, yes, it's true, I do have the perfect marriage. If you understand that the perfect marriage means that you're going to bump into each other from time to time, and when you do, you need to forgive each other, dust each other off, and keep going along the journey of marriage. And if that means you have a perfect marriage, then I have one of those, and guess what? You can have one too. Now that's a clever answer, I think, and it's a true answer, because in any enduring relationship, things are going to happen. You're going to get overtired, grumpy, infidelity even, all sorts of stuff happens, and you've got to have a system to be able to forgive each other and to move on, because if you don't, it's like carrying around loads of old stuff, like all this stuff behind me, in your relationship that goes back years and years and years, and that stuff's pretty heavy and pretty difficult to cope with. So you've got to have a system that's going to help you understand how to forgive each other. Now, if I forget to make my wife a cup of tea or something, I'll say to her, oh, do you know, sorry about that, I didn't mean it, and that's fine. Everybody's happy. But if I do something significantly hurtful, I'm talking about infidelity or spending all the money or being like really unkind to our children or something significant, then just saying I'm sorry somehow isn't enough. In order to move on when something significant has happened, it's important to not just say I'm sorry, but initially identify with the pain the other person has experienced. So for example, we had a massive argument one time in an airport, and I was terrible, I was really horrible. My wife thought I was going to divorce her, or she was going to divorce me, or we were going to divorce each other. It was just awful. But the thing was, for me to just turn around afterwards and say, oh, I'm sorry, let's move on, it would just be almost like, it's just inadequate, you know, not good enough. So in order to move on, the model is, if you've hurt each other, you have to identify with the pain before you can ask for forgiveness. So what I had to do in that instance is say, listen, I can see that when I said all those horrible things to you in the airport, it must have made you feel really awful, really horrible, and I can really understand. So I get into her emotion, and when I've done that, then I can step back a little bit and say, and the truth is, you know, I was wrong. When you ask somebody to forgive you, then they have the power. Do you understand? It's within their gift to say no, or yes, or I'll think about it, or I'm on a journey here, I want to forgive you but I'm not quite there yet. All those things are acceptable, but just saying I'm sorry, can we move on, is basically pathetic. It doesn't work, and just irritates the other person because it makes them feel like you haven't really understood the level of pain that you've caused. So forgiveness is really important, and you've got to understand forgiveness, and you've got to make it work. Otherwise it's like carrying all these old rocks around with you everywhere. It's a nightmare.
There's very little anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I think it's the sort of thing where...
Hi there.
What are you doing? Sticking it all back together again?
That's the one, yeah.
Do you have to do that on the big ones as well?
They're exactly like this.
Are they? I wondered if they were.
They're all actually made of fibreglass.
All made out of fibreglass.
The aliens took them back.
So when I used to come to Stonehenge, like, I don't know, a few years ago, you could just drive right up to it, you know, and you could just park and wander up and you could go up and touch the stones and have a picnic and take photos. Now it's kind of become a sanitized kind of thing. So you stop your car at the visitor centre, which is 1.5 miles away. And I mean, that's beautiful, don't get me wrong. And then you park there and you have to get on a bus or you walk 1.5 miles out here and you can't actually get at the stones. It's kind of cordoned off like a perimeter now. I suppose it's progress, you know. And I was speaking to a guy and he said, well, they had to do it because people were spraying graffiti on the rocks and things, which is a terrible thing to do. So I suppose it's progress, but yeah, I just missed the kind of immediacy of it before, you know. It was kind of more exciting somehow. But maybe I'm just being a grumpy old man.